gentlemen. Dang, it's white. Let's put some vibes on. Let's put some wives with some wives on. Some vibes. Let's see if there's actually anything on here. Let's see if I get in trouble for listening to this. They're like, you can't listen to video game music while you're doing video game things. All right, guys, what's up? I know it's been a while. It's your boy, Raleigh, doing game development things. Kind of cool, kind of not boring. I wouldn't say it's boring. I think it's pretty cool. But yeah, we're gonna be working on a loot table today for, you know, like a dynamic loot table. Eventually, I want to upgrade it to a dynamic loot table, but for like MVP purposes, we're gonna keep it very low tier pulling. I'm talking rolling a range, right? Raising that roll to a flat number, and then figuring out an actor's rarity and then pulling it from there. I believe that this system will really help to cultivate a organic. I think it'll create an organic way of pulling in levels and other things that'll be necessary for the future. But we've already worked out a pulling system for the game, and I've made this a plugin for myself. But I'll get into that later. I don't really care about it right now. You'll have to forgive me for the gibberies, the jibble wibbles. It's been a while since I've streamed, especially game development. Henry Spiff, what's up, Henry? What's up, brother? How you doing today? Bam, bam, bam. Today we're working on a loot table, man. We are working on a loot table. Okay, so the idea of this loot table is I want to be able to put anything in it. I want to use a data asset, which is the loot table itself. It's kind of confusing because there's also a class called a data table, which I'll be using with this as well. So for my data table, I want to be able to store variables, and this could be anything, right? It could be levels, it could be objects, it could be when you open the chest, you have something there, it just pulls it. You could select the rarity from this data table here, and essentially that'll give you the rolls or the um, percentages for those rolls, right? So that's the idea. I feel like that would be perfect for what I'm trying to achieve here because it gives me the ability to create a data table for like level generation, right? I could throw levels in here. If I want to have loot, I can make one for actual loot when you open up a chest, or I could even have it for multiple different other things, right? It doesn't just have, the point is, it just doesn't have to be items. It could be anything. So that's what I'm trying to create right now. And I'm making this a plugin so I can use it for any game that I want it in, realistically. So with that being said, we have a function here that's just called getActor. This is going to do a roll between 0 and 100. We seal that roll, and then we have to go about checking the rarities. The issue here that we're currently facing with this system is how do we get those rarities? I've already disclosed that we're looking to use a data table, but the primary issue is how do we get access to that? I want to make it so when I click here to reference a data table, right, it's always going to reference this data table that I've created, right? We have our enums here, common, uncommon, rare, legendary, mystic, so on, so forth. I do want to change this to uncommon with common. Already use. It's already in use. I guess they're going to force me to keep it capitalized. But yeah, I want to be able to reference this data table in all of these. So it doesn't matter, like, if I select here, like, it'll just be that data table. I believe I can already do that. So figuring out how to achieve that, that's kind of like that's the blocker right now. That's what's blocking me from moving forward. But that's what we're going to be working on today. Hopefully we'll be able to start loading in some levels. T subclass of actor, which is what we want. We have our rarity, right? So we just add a rarity. And I'm kind of refreshing myself because I'm just waking up. I'm refreshing myself with the project, the ideas for it, right? Let me go over here to ClickUp really quick. By the way, guys, if you didn't know about ClickUp, ClickUp is a awesome website for documentation purposes. I highly recommend using it, right? So here I have my MVP breakdown. Some things that I want. This is the level instancing that I'm referring to, right? I've already documented some things to kind of help navigate myself mentally through what I'm trying to achieve. So yeah, I suppose we just take a look at this and kind of get where we're going. By the way, if you guys can't hear me, let me know. Looks like my mic is coming in. Let's turn on desktop audio so we can actually get some music in here, but it doesn't look like the music is coming through. Or it is. No. Sorry guys, let me... I've got a wave link. That's relatively interesting, but the music's not popping through. RPG stuff. Let's go ahead and do this. Go over here. I'm just going to test this. Check out the stream. Okay, so the music is not popping through. Or pumping through, I guess I should say. Browser, maybe that's what. Let's go ahead and properties, defaults. Yeah, this is set as default. It should just be coming through automatically. That's why I'm so confused, because we should just be hearing the music with no issue whatsoever. Maybe if I turn it up louder. There we go. But I do want to turn this down quite a bit so it doesn't like consume my thoughts, right? I don't want to be thinking of programming and then hear in the mix of all that. But yeah, it's very simple. We're just pulling from this. Ideally, I'd like to make it so we could just give people the capability to name their own type of rarities for creativity purposes, right? Like maybe someone thinks, I want to name it something else. I don't want to use the standard common, uncommon, rare, legendary, mystic nuances. But for now, that's what we're going to do for sanity purposes. Okay, so after rarity, we have our value type. Although I'm a little confused. Hold up, guys. I want to test something. Yesterday, I was trying to use this just like this, and we're kind of forced to use t enum as byte. I thought that wasn't the case if we had like uint8 here, as well as the macro for the display name. Doesn't seem to be the case though. Let's think about this really quick. Before instantiating a level, we will look at data table. This data table will be attached to a loot table. This loot table will return an actor class, which we can use to grab an actor from the pooling plugin. Once we have acquired an actor, we can spawn it at the designated location. Designated locations will be dependent on the actor that was previously called. In regard to the level design, not all actors are the same, and therefore the spawn location will differ and change based on the actor's width. I'm going to go ahead and do this. Once the actor is placed, we will store the offset of the actor, spawn an easily accessible variable that we can use when we spawn the next actor. So, one thing I kind of learned in my internship is I feel like Unreal really works. It works cleaner when you're using the pipeline correctly, right? Like when you do everything in code, I feel like when things break, it's harder to fix them. So I know that sounds strange. I haven't even really recognized why I feel that way yet. It's just from experience. It's kind of a feeling that I've acquired through working with it for 2 to 3 years now. So the objective here is to make it like BP friendly, right? And I feel like that's good because there's some people that just work in BPs. So it'd be nice for them to just create classes and plop them in without much hassle at all. In fact, at some point, I would like to learn how I can add them here into the advanced asset list for people to access. I'll have to ask the AI later about that. But for now, let's figure this out. This is like a huge mental stumbling block for me because I don't really know how to do the lateral, which is... Where am I storing at? This at? Loot system. We don't need these. We don't need the pooling subsystem quite anymore. Level manager, we can get rid of that. There's a lot of things that, like, we don't need those developer settings. We don't need the BP for this. We don't need the base character, the collision, the pool actor, the base pickup, or the background actor. And it's kind of funny because one thing that I've kind of noticed that I did, because I worked on this and then worked on a couple of other projects, took a break from Judarun, right? And I did all of these subclasses of these classes, and I feel like that wasn't the appropriate way of doing it because I was narrowing things down instead of keeping them broad. And I feel like there's a perfect medium where like you can have this broad spectrum with these narrow tidbits that'll fit like puzzle pieces in there and still be cohesive, if that makes sense. Initialize member rarity chart. We'll just say that's a null pointer for now. Rarity data table. I know we're not doing much in the rarity data table. This was me literally just testing something to see if I could reference my own data table in here. But if we go and actually look at this, for instance, if I go blueprint class, by the way, guys, if you're working with C++ and you want a class to be exposed to be a blueprint, to be blueprintable, you actually have to do that here in the struct or the class, right? You have to add the macro blueprintable, or else you won't be able to do this. So rarity data table. What's up, Amin? How you doing, brother man? Brother man, dude guy. Test. I'm gonna delete this really quick, but you'll see that I've made a data table asset, right? And you'll see that this indeed inherits from the udata table class. And yet, if we look at this and compare it to this, which is a data table, this looks like a regular old UObject blueprint. while this one carries the look of a data table. So how they achieve that, I don't know. I feel like it would involve me having to go here to the data table. It's Raleigh. Want to join VC Quick Chat? To be honest with you, brother, right now I'm not really feeling like chatting. I'm trying to like focus on the project. I don't want to sound rude when I say that, but that's just kind of how I'm feeling right now. I just feel like vibing, working on the game, reading text, replying to the text. Maybe at some point, either this week or next week, we can hop in a VC and chat really quick. But right now, I'm just trying to really focus on completing the task of the day. And the task of the day is to... You can count on auto reordering to have the PPE. You can count on... Well, the task, sorry. ADHD brain. The task of the day is to get a loot table in here so I can start pulling in objects with some form of control, yet with a feel of randomness, right? Because that's the thing I've learned with working with like random, like trying to add like random aspects to the game. True randomness, never fun. You want to have like some control in there. And this guy's playing music, but I don't hear... Did my headset literally just die? It literally just died. Crazy. Sorry about that, guys. You changed room? No, this is my same room. I have a bookcase back here. My wife threw my... Sorry, a bookcase. A bookshelf. She threw a bookshelf back here. And I'm too lazy to change it. But be quite frank, I don't really care. I'm like, whatever. I do want to hang up this, though. This, though. A one-piece picture. A one-piece picture. I want to hang it up. Yes. And possibly this. If anyone knows, I'm a huge Kingdom Hearts fan. Well, I was a bigger Kingdom Hearts fan in my youth. A lot of the information about the series has been flushed from my memory because, I don't know, the older I get, the less I care about certain things. There's only so much room in there. So I gotta flush some old things out to replace new thing. Okay, that's cool. Yeah, it is. It's cool. It's all right, man. It's not meant to be cool. I don't really care about being cool anymore. I used to want to have like a nice, cool, inviting room, but I'll be real with you, man. I'm kind of a rebel. You know, I feel like the typical experience is somebody does their room up all nice and snazzy, and right now I just don't feel like that's appropriate for where I'm at in my streaming career. If there was more people in here and I had more money to dedicate to certain aspects like that, I would totally do it. But at the moment, I don't have that type of funding to care that much about the ambiance, I guess you could say. Anyways, I have to go. If you need any help, I'm here. Thank you, buddy. You have an excellent day. Thank you for stopping by, saying hi. Figure out what enum to look for by rolling and checking. So, kind of the way we're flushing this down is we roll, then we want to get... We have our roll now at this point, right? Like if we print this out, we'll see that it's a number. Now I want to test that number or figure out what that number is. So I need to say Yep. We're going to have a protected get rarity right here. Get rarity. We're going to generate this really quick. I don't really care about exposing it at the moment. Delete this bad boy. Well, I'll let you focus. DM me if needed. Sounds good, brother man. I'm not gonna make that static, but right here we're gonna get the rarity. We're actually gonna want to pass in a float here, or I guess, yeah, float, roll. So as a way to document this for myself, we're first going to add a U function here just in case that I want to go ahead and do that. Then in here, obtain the rarity of the roll by passing in the of the roll. Doesn't need to roll. Okay, so now that we have this, we have to scour something, right? We pass in a roll, and then this roll is going to be compared and contrast to the rolls in our data table. How do we reference that data table, though?
For $0 is too good to be true. A hassle, but not at Verizon.
Not at Verizon. I need to get some form of something. Honestly, if people start like subscribing and donating, I'll have to get Spotify again and use that to kind of. I'll probably get YouTube Premium just because it allows me to look up specific things, and I like piano. I like playing piano, although it'll probably get us all copyrighted here. But it's whatever. So, get reference to data table. So here's the blocker. How do we reference that data table? Because the thing with data tables is there's data tables and then there's the data table role, right? Like as a way to showcase this to everybody who's probably wondering what I'm thinking, we have this data table asset. If we click it, you'll see that we get a row structure, and then the data table will essentially change, mutate, whatever word you want to call it, right? Depending on this, right? So this data table looks like this because this is the row handle that I've created. But if we were to add something here, now we have, right, pulling object data table. But so the issue I'm talking about here is if I were to go and say, let's go ahead and we don't even need to save. Let's go ahead and first I need to figure out where I'm referencing this, or where I want to reference this, right? So we have our rarity charts. Oh, it's going to be in a struct, which doesn't make sense. Honestly, in here. Doesn't make sense in here. Yeah, so we have this rarity chart. I can't just reference this specific thing. If I do like a data table, a U data table, right? And we were to refresh the project. Bam, 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 bam. Level instancing and loot table. What's a good icon for this, guys? A ladder. That's the perfect one, dude. A ladder. Oh, you know, I like the one that kind of looks like bacon. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Let's look at some arrows. I feel like something like
Hunter.
this.
Our new Huntrix meal is
Could be
now at
useful.
McDonald's.
With Namyan McShaker fries, 10-piece chicken McNuggets, and a drink. Oh, plus 2 new sauces.
And sick photo cards.
And it's totally better than Soja Boy's breakfast, so pick our meal.
At participating McDonald's while supplies last.
Oh
At
boy.
Walden University, get the W.
I need to create like some
I'm in the driver's seat.
something that, you know, what could work is if I created some type of
Sets my pace.
some type of software that muted YouTube when it's an ad and then unmuted it when it was a video. That could be nice. Excuse me. Depression. It's safe. And made on the ground it mean. The mansion. Disgrace. Dynamic loot table. Honestly, no. 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 Where would I even pull this from? A part of me feels like this should be some U object. I kind of feel like I've dropped the ball here a bit in how I'm even doing this. This is a data asset. A data asset. Dynamic loot table. DA for data asset. Loot table. Or I guess I could call it I don't like this. Now that I'm really thinking about it, I don't really like using a data asset for this. I really don't. If anything, I really do feel like maybe it belongs as like in a BP library. Because then you can kind of plug these things in from anywhere. Even though I've already actually, okay. So we do have a data asset. Then we just get this data asset. And we can put this in the corresponding, right? We could just reference this on the level manager, right? For instance, I could say data asset. Sorry, I'm really thinking about how I want to proceed with doing this. I don't really have like a, I don't know, like, wow, that's not working as well. I can't just reference a data asset, but I believe I can say dynamic loot table and then just be like loot level loot table.
With the American Express
Compile
Platinum
this
card,
here,
you can
and
access
then
over
boom,
$3,500
DT
in
level.
value each
Oh my
year.
gosh.
And unlock
That's
experiences
easy.
like no other. Find out your welcome offer.
Then we have our rarity values. What?
There's nothing
That
like
worked?
Platinum.
What if I make another data table? What if I make another data table? Will that
We
work?
bring family values
No.
to every handshake. And to
Do I
every
have
service
other data
that your vehicle
tables?
needs, big or small. We go above and
No, I
beyond
don't. That is
families
literally
do
the only one.
to make sure you're taken care of. I'm Anthony Christmas, and I'm proud to be a part of the Simi Valley Chevrolet family.
Honestly,
Empowered by
I'll be real with you guys. Having those ads in the midst of me trying to work is really annoying. Get reference to data table. I want it to be specific, guys. Like, I don't want this to be like, oh, let me just make a data table, right? Like this, and be like, oh, data table. I'm just showing you what I'm talking about, Sky State. I don't care. I don't want to be like this, right? And then use this. I want people to know, like, you have to use a rarity table, right? So, how to reference a specific data table in UE5, question mark. Come on. Da, da, da. Y'all need to stop thinking about me. Oh. So they're saying to use F data table row handle. How do I do that though? I could say F data table row handle, right? But this will can't have an exposed to this type. So I have this F data table row handle, but that won't work at all. C++. I highly doubt this is gonna be it. Let me go ahead and save really quick. But yeah, after I do this, I can just figure this out. I can just jump straight into doing what I need to do. Once I figure out how I can reference this, that'll be excelente. It'll be excelente. No overload function could whatever. Whatever. Use the F data table row handle struct. Oh, so they're telling me that. Okay, I'm sorry, guys. I think what it's referring to when it tells me this is that I would instead use like this F loot table actor this and actor rarity. Shouldn't this be a public F data table row base? I'm going to try a row handle just to kind of F data table row handle just to kind of get an idea. I'm going to see if this disrupts what I'm doing here or trying to achieve here. F loot table actor, which is this right here. I'm going to see if this disrupts this. And I guess I'll test this while we're at it. But if that doesn't work, what I'm going to do is try placing this actual class right here. But from what it looks like, if I were to do that, it would that's kind of what I'm doing here, right, already, but it's just it's an array. So this still works. This still works. Rarity chart, right? Row name. So I can get any of these here, which is funny. That's interesting. So I could say like common or uncommon. I wonder what the row name is for. It's probably to access like a specific row name. That's interesting. But that means if I were to do this, I would have to do some stuff in there. Let's see what happens. Yeah, so even here, it does this. Boom. So we don't want that type of functionality here. But I believe I could say this, do that, and then refresh it, and that should be giving us a result that we like. A result that we like. Okay, cool. So those are back. We have our rarity chart. That's saved already. So what we could do is, one, when we get the rarity, we can probably, what is this called again? Actor rarity. No. It is called rarity chart. If rarity chart is not equal, what are we referring to here again? This rarity table. Dot T object pointer get row. We want the data table, right? Dot row struct, right? If it does not, use script struct. Does not name a value. What is it? We do this, and then we do what? Static struct, right? So test if rarity chart is the accepted. Test if data table is the what's a good word for this? Needed, expected data table. If it's not, we're gonna go ahead and, you know, log temp, warning, text. Let's go ahead over here, and in the text we're gonna say the and actually, yeah, does not equal that. The data table, right? Or this. I like that AI did that. Thank you, AI. You actually helped. You actually helped. The data table is not actually, we're gonna say no data table is referenced, or the data table is the wrong type. I don't know. So once we've tested that, we now know what that is. So we can say, if it's past this, actually, we could probably drop a return here, even though I don't think this necessarily works. How do we... How to break on a void C++, C5. I think you just do break, right? Can I just say break? Break. Yeah, I was gonna say that's... Okay, so you can say return. Control flow jump statement. Redundant. How is that redundant? Regardless, I'm hoping that breaks. If not, we'll just have to do a bool and then do it like that. So once we've done that, we're going to, for each element, and we are going to make sure, I want to make sure that we're actually looking at that information in the rarity chart. For each row. Get all rows. What does this return? Context string. That's interesting. T char T array out row array. So instead of doing this, actually, we can pass in a T array of that type, which is the F rarity table. Rows. Pass that in here, I believe. Constant context string, and then it gives us an out. So what does it mean by context string? Let's look at documentation. Oh. Get all rows. Get all the rows in the table regardless of name. Right.
Working across teams is tough.
So an example of this. Can I get an example? Can I get an example, please?
To keep everything on track. That's how work gets handled. Visit us at asana.com.
Copy full snippet.
Hunters.
Get all rows.
Now at McDonald's.
With Namyan McShaker fries, 10-piece chicken McNuggets, and a drink. Oh, plus 2 new sauces.
And
Out of
signed
rate.
photo cards.
And it's totally better than Saja Boy's breakfast, so pick our meal.
At participating
How do
McDonald's.
I achieve this? Let's look at this. Let's look at the usage case. Right? All rows. Get all rows. And processing all items. So I can just throw whatever I want in here. It's interesting that they, I guess you have to be specific, maybe. I don't know if this is specific to get a certain result, but that is definitely what we want. That is definitely not what they wanted. Get all rows. All rows. F my data struct. So they want me to point to these like doinkers. Okay. And then we can do a for each. And F rarity table. Row. Now, and So now we're going to iterate through each row and then return the row that matches the role, right? Each row, like if I were to go to row, there's a spawn chance here, right? Okay, so this actually, we want to return the rarity here. So E actor value type is going to be our return. But with that being said, we now have to figure out how this is going to work. So let's say I roll a 50, right? How do I test this? Do I say if 50 is greater than, I don't know, greater than or equal to the spawn chance? The spawn chance could be like, let's say it's 40, right? I'm trying to figure out a way to visualize this for my brain. For my brain. For my brain. For my brain. Sorry, I gotta sing a little bit. Let's see. 100. I don't know. 60. 60. Gorsh, Mickey. Come on, dude. Let me just drag this.
Season and Bob's is bringing the wow back. Get new everyday low prices on best-selling
Freaking
pieces like
Bob,
my bed and
man.
sofa. Now just $3.99. Wow. Or my
We're gonna
storage
do
box
what 10.
dining set.
I don't care.
$5.99.
As long as I can get the general idea
And
out.
my 5-star Cascade bedroom. Now $7.99.
Wow!
And with tons of styles ready to ship.
So let's say we rolled a 50. What would we get here, right? We have 60. So would we get will we get the first item above that? We definitely have to get below here to even acquire this. Like if we're here, if the number's here, we would return whatever's here. Could be, I don't know, a pizza. Pizza. If we roll here, we will return whatever here. Return whatever here. So we want to say less than or equal to. If roll is less than or equal to, not num dot row spawn chance, then we will return the row dot rarity. Right? Cannot return a value. Oh yeah, I have to do that. On all Contrano pass, return a thing. The row rarity. Ruh-roh. We're gonna return nothing. Can I return a null pointer on these? I cannot. So the idea is that instead of doing this, I really have to have some forethought when it comes to this, guys. Return false. We're gonna... What is this? F. Not a rarity table. What was the...
Saving up to 10%
Call,
when you
actor
bundle your home
value
and auto
type.
insurance with USAA. Some
E.
things just click.
E.
Get a quote today.
Out. Out value. I don't know. Cannot. Cannot.
Now you can
Enum.
meet with a TurboTax expert
I
in
could
your
have
community.
sworn
They can do your taxes for you.
E.
Every dollar
Actor
you
value
deserve.
type. I could have
Local tax
sworn.
experts are here. Hand off your taxes with confidence.
What do I gotta do this? Is that the one? Expected. I'm trying to out this. What if I add a const? No. Please, robot, how to... What, I just do that? Okay, works. It works, yes. And we want a capital R, for goodness sake. I don't care about making that constant. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. If we don't return anything from here, then it's just false. But our out value is now going to be equivalent to the rarity. And I think that's pretty much it. So we would do what a E, their value type, value type is going to be equal to get rarity. We're going to pass in our raise roll, and actually we're going to do this value type. This makes sense in regards to BP because I could get the bool and say, oh, if it does this, then we just pull the value type out. But it's kind of hard to do here because you have to state this somewhere. Find an I value to that, which is funny. Phenum as by the actor value type. But I guess we could say that if we get this, then we can iterate through each one of these. And say if the rarity is equivalent to the value type, then we can return the items actor class. Sorry, this is a U class. Not a U class, a U class, I believe, right? We're not returning an actor. Star star. we would be returning a class that we could punch into our pool table. So we get the role, we get the value type, we check the rarity, or we get the rarity, which could be common or whatever it is. However, my biggest concern is what we'll have to do here is, I guess, say none. You meta none. And the default ones on here are common. So in the case that it is bad, we can say our out value is equal to E actor value type none. And that way there's a case in which we can't use that at all in coding context. I feel like in BP we would just, it would be different, because if we return nothing, then we could just skip out on everything.
Sunday nights on ABC. What happens when the
and then just return a null pointer.
Turns out not to be who you think they are.
Everything he told me was a lie.
I was betrayed. From the #1 true crime podcast, Betrayal.
He's been living a secret double life.
My marriage ended with a 911 call.
The tape is blood.
So here's the thing, is that we could have multiple, right? Like we don't, right now I'm only thinking for one use case, right?
Sunday nights at 10, 9 Central on ABC.
I'm only thinking of one use case. This returns just one actor class, right? This takes into consideration the case where it is just one. For instance, let's say I have like I'm not gonna put an actor for now. I just have one actor in here with just one, right? But if I have multiple commons, right, we have to take into consideration for multiple, right? So we need to make a T array of classes here. U class. Class array. And then we need to essentially say, and instead of, I mean, well, we can get to that point later. But the idea is that instead of returning here, we would just say class array.add. We're just going to add this class into the array. After that, yeah. Iterate through each actor and add to a array. In array. After we've done that, we need to check if the class array, which we need to store up higher, I suppose, or in this case, we can just hide it in here and say if class array, if num is greater than 0, then we have something. If not, you know, we would just boop and go to null pointer. Class array is greater than 0. And 0. Then
Are you the kind of person who knows things? Things like you can get a domain from Squarespace,
that num
not just a
is
website.
greater than 0.
Well, now you are that person, because now you definitely
We
know you can
can
get a
tell
domain
ourselves
from Squarespace.
that
Pick whisperingbloom.com
Well,
for your silent retreat.
if it's
Or
greater than 0,
whisperingbloom.com for your
grab
shouting retreat.
a random.
Whatever your dream, a Squarespace domain and website brings it to life, all in one place. Get yours before it's gone with offer code MAKEITREAL for 10% off your domain or website. Terms and conditions apply.
So we need to float, or I guess int random element equals fmath frand, or I guess iron rand range. We'll say 0, and that will be the number minus 1. And that will be, so if it's like 1, it'll be 0. If it's 2, it's 1. Alright. Which we would then, yeah, return this. Which I could probably congest into this. And if we don't return here, then we would just return to null pointer. So we do need a test. Requires a test for validity. Actually, let's go ahead and put that in the function notes. Get actor. My tummy is growling because I'm hungry. Turns a random actor from loot table. Actor should be validated in case null pointer return.
Granger knows that
And
as
I
an
guess
HVAC technician,
that
heat is on
could
you
be good for
every day.
testing now.
Your first call, an office building with a noisy AC unit.
An office call with a nosy AC unit. I'm hungry. Well, I can already feel myself getting copyrighted. Oh, the beauties of streaming on YouTube. I need to look up a way to handle that. If it's similar to Twitch, where you can output music to a specific audio, and therefore when you stream, the audio is not saved to the video, but it is apparent on the stream. I wonder if that's a potential possibility for us. Video game music. It's like I'm stuck. I'm stuck just doing this. I can't play piano to do those things for my show. Oh. The only issue, one of the issues here is the stuff I'm spawning here can, and since these things are not conjoined, doesn't make much sense. So that is something that people are going to have to take into consideration if they use this, or even myself, is that these actors are coherent with these actors, right? Right. So let's go ahead and do BP underscore city 2. We're going to make this common as well. We also need to think about if there isn't, right, rare. Or I guess what I could do, right, is essentially, instead of just pulling from everything that's in there, I have to say, if the rarity, like return a list of rarities that can be spawned. Like if it's 30, right, it could be, nah, because then essentially it would just spawn. I'm looking for one. This is an issue. The issue I'm talking about is like, I got rid of that paint. But the idea is that originally I felt like I could just, if it's 30 and everything above that could be returned as a class that I could pull. Right? But the thing is that if we hit 30, you know, like if it was me, I would want the highest rarity to be spawned. So we return the highest rarity. We would return the highest rarity. I could returns a random actor with the highest rarity from the loot table. Maybe we just do a get multiple actors, which returns, you know, essentially multiple. So we have that functionality where we get a single actor, and that one automatically returns the highest rarity. If it's, you know, yeah, it just returns the highest rarity. A multiple one would return the highest rarity. Like it would essentially, if it was rare, it would go returns the rare item. Then it would return the uncommon item as well as a common item. And then it would return an array of U classes that you could pull from or spawn if you wanted. In this case, we'll be pulling them. But the idea is that we return something. That's rare. And let's do, just in case these come out as well. Let's do this. That's legendary. And just for giggles, best 1000 mystic. I need to adjust how I'm approaching these levels, but right now we're just doing this. When we get back to that, we can look into that. But yeah. So this is our loot table. This is our rarity charts. I don't know why it has us get a row name here, but I'm assuming it's just showing us the names. We could probably use that for something else if we really wanted to, but for now, let's just add in the other stuff here. Apartment. Apartment, hill, and then I think I want to automatically set that to 1. We have test. Sorry, I'm trying to see what apartment inst, apartment, big hill inst, and test inst. Inst, and then we have, I believe this one, right? And then in here, we'll go into our level manager. This is our level manager. Let's go ahead and also open up the level blueprint, because I believe I have some clicking logic in here, which I've dismembered, so it's no longer there, which is nice. Absolutely love that. But in the level manager, we're initializing all the thing, get all of type inactive. So what we want to do now is press, or what, EM or C. I don't care what button it is. C. Compile level loot table. We got that. Get, and then what is this? I really don't like this, honestly, but at the same time it allows us to be specific, so I'm not too frustrated with it. If someone has a better approach to how I could achieve this system, I'm not looking to do like a subsystem like I've done with the pooling. The pooling table, or the pooling object system that I have. I'm not looking to do a subsystem with the loot table. I feel like that's a little too much for a loot table, because that's like a singleton and there's going to be multiple level loot tables. But regardless, if someone has a better approach to including this and being specific to a certain thing, like the level manager, right? I could reference multiple loot tables in it. I could do a level, I could do objects, like pick up objects, right? But yeah, if anyone has a better idea, please let me know in the comment sections of this stream. Regardless, we're gonna run some functions on this. Get actor. This is gonna return a class. Then we can say Nazareth pooling subsystem, right? We can get an object from the pooling, although I should name that to actor. But yeah, object class reference. What is this? That's not an object class reference, is it? Okay. So my issue here is this is U class when I should do T subclass of a actor. That's better. Oh, no, no, no! We want to save. And we want to refresh. Oh, am I offline? Let's check the YouTube. That would be interesting if it set me offline. That would be big sad. Because I've been under the impression that I've been streaming this whole time. YouTube Studio. Content. Yeah, I'm still live. Sweet. Still live. Delete forever. When's the last time we streamed? February of last year, guys. February of 2025 was when I last streamed on this channel, so I don't want to sound strange, but I just want to say I don't think I need that there. Oh, I need a T array of a T subclass of a actor. Now that works, but we're having an issue here because it wants us to be like, oh, wait, does it want us to do that? No. What is this? Don't I? What do you do? Like what? 1 or something? Pre-allocate. How do you pre-allocate stuff for this? Might not be initialized. Maybe I do that. And then boom, that fixed everything. But now it's like, oh, we can't da-da-da to the da-da-da. But if we reference the actor, we should be good. Yeah, we want to do that. I think. I'm still like, when it comes to... I'm still a little iffy when it... Yeah, I want a get actor. This is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. Honestly, it doesn't really matter. We're dereferencing it here. We don't need to really reference.
Working across teams is tough, but Asana helps you handle.
Honestly, it's a class, so I don't even think we need to do that.
Where humans and AI coordinate work together. AI can spot roadblocks and assign work in a snap, so everything and everyone stays on track. That's how work gets handled. That's Asana. Visit us at asana.com. That's ASANA.com.
So yeah. Honestly, this should just be a... I need to check this. I don't think I'm switching anything, because I could just make this... I mean, I am initializing an object in here if we don't do that, so I guess we can't do it. We can't use appear, because it's like doing multiple things. But yeah, if that's true, we want to add a reroute here. And for I don't really want to create a double click, like, oh, I press C. I mean, I could do it relatively easy, like this as well, and just promote this to a variable, only held actor, and then just prior to me doing all this, right, prior to doing all this, I just do a check here for this. Currently held actor get is valid, right? Because if it's valid, or if it's not valid, right, it means we don't have an actor. It's null pointer. But if we do have an actor, which I'll have to move this down. If we don't have an actor, get one. And if we do have an actor, we're going to want to return it to sender. And we simply do that by just return object to pool. And we put the object in here. And we return that to the pool. I wonder what happens if we put an actor in there that is not a part of the pool. I wonder if I did a logic for that. But that'll essentially do that. This just needs to be set to a null pointer again after this. Interesting. Usually they'll let you put something there. What, did all my music run out? Is that what happened? Oh, it's just Dunzo. We're gonna save. Save. We've did the save. We done did it. Okay. Now I need to track this because I know I just clicked it. Nothing happened. So we're gonna track this bad boy. I'm pressing C, but nothing's happening for me. Ridiculous. What's going on? We have a level manager in here. This is from StarCraft. Event on full initialized. I'm presuming this never gets initialized now. It does, huh? We'll have to fix that. But yeah, I mean, we have all of our objects spawning in at the top right. Why that's not working is beyond me. Instance created. I mean, Quint. Well, at least say hello when I click it. Hello, hello, hello. I'm pressing the key, my G. Maybe it's because it's capped. It's not capped. I don't know. I'm gonna try another button besides C. It's probably because this is not on something that I presumed as much. It's on the level manager, so it's just not gonna do what I want it to do. Does that have to do with something with the tick functionality? I guarantee you it does. I guarantee you it has to do with that. Let's look at the level manager really quick. On full initialize. Tick. I mean, it is initialized. Begin play. We do all the things. It works great on, like I put it on the character, and I think it has to do with the controller. But I have placed something on here before to test, and it worked fine. This makes me mad. Maybe I do make a subsystem, but it's all the data tables. I don't know. Because the one I currently have, it works. Sorry, not the editor profess. Like, it gets all the stuff, all of its information from developer settings. Right? The pooling plugin gets all of its stuff from the developer settings. So I was able to create itself, but if I were to do it the other way around, I don't know, I'd have to create another developer setting. Which I guess wouldn't be too bad. Which wouldn't be too bad. So I guess that's what we're gonna do. Shmee. So that's a data asset. Alright, let's do this. Funky. Oh, I did it. I did a bad thing. I called it my class, and now I'm stuck deleting things. No. No. Unreal class. Nazareth's. Table. Developer settings. What did I call the other one? Kind of want to keep them consistent when it comes to the naming convention of it all. Okay. Developer settings. And then I would call it developer settings loot table. Yeah. It's gonna add them here, and I need to move them. Public, boink, and then reference. I believe that's somewhere else. No. So there are a couple of things that I got to do with this to get this working as desired, and it involves this right here. Bam, 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 bam. Nazareth loot table. Loot table. I call it dynamic loot, even though I don't think it's too dynamic at the moment. Nazareth loot table dynamic. And then we also want to go in here and do a bit of this, and then public, boink, and instead of having that, we'll have that, and then that, so we can get it. And in here, I do want to get this. Save game category. Pooling objects. We're going to call this loot table. And our loot table is going to be Nazareth underscore dynamic loot table over for declaration. Loot table, but this is going to be a T array. Wait. I don't like this now. Like in my head, I visualize like having items, level, blah, 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 like the whole shebang. But you can't do that with a T array. You can't do that with a T array. So in hindsight, this doesn't make as much sense as I was originally indicating to myself. Which would mean get rarity can be made, but I don't care. So, control copy, delete. The issue here now is like, how do I, you know what, custom event, and get actor. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm just going to come in here and do key, could be anything, like I said, I don't care. we press the button, we're going to get level manager. Actually, can we get the game instance? In hindsight, this will work. Like if I, it just doesn't work for this use case, which is fine. Add to. And I'm wondering, like in our game instance here, game due to run, do we have a level manager? Interface, place at end. I forgot how interfaces work. I had like an idea of them in the past, but now I've kind of forgotten about them. Even though they're used plenty. The interfaces are used plenty. Dynamic loot table, LT objects and items. That's the old one. This is the new one.
Working across teams.
This is the new.
But Asana helps you handle
it. But point is, get
That's
all
because Asana
actors
is
of
where
class,
humans and AI coordinate work together.
level,
AI
manager,
can spot roadblocks and assign work in a snap. So everything and
level
everyone stays on
manager,
track.
BP level
That's
manager.
how work
So we're
gets
gonna get
done.
all this.
That's Asana.
Get
Visit us at
copy of
asana.com.
0, and then we're
That's
going to run add, or
ASANA.com.
what is it? Actor. What did I call the level manager? Get actor, get actor, get actor. It's kind of like, I wonder if this will work. So just for giggles, what did I put this on? 1. Okay, it does work. We're gonna run through it. We have no actor, so we're gonna get an actor. It's true. Bada boom! Then it returns it to the pulling object, right guys? It returns it. So, oh, another one? Oh, and it's random. Oh. Look at that, guys. That didn't return anything. Big city. Right, check that out. That is big happy. Big happy. We see automatically like the ones that come up the most. It would probably be wise for me to add a false precursor in here. I'll just print no item was returned. And just as I stated in here beforehand, before we did all this hoopla, I want to just do is valid. Come on. Is valid. It's not going to let me do like, okay. Regardless, branch. Doink. If it's true, then we want to do all this. But if it's not true, we want to do this. And say no class was returned, and in the case that there's no item, we want to just be like no actor was returned. So this is just me trying to figure out why it is when I click this button sometimes it just doesn't work, right? Because there are cases where I'll hit the button, no actor was returned, which means No class was returned. Why is that? No actor was returned. 2 times 4. We see these. This 1 times 4, 2 times 4, 1 times 4. No actor was returned. But there is when it's the 2 times 4 or the 1 by 4. So it's working. And it's working pretty good. Besides, you know, a class not being returned or a actor not being returned. So we need to figure out why no class is being returned. So let's go ahead and do this. And honestly, I feel like this could use a refactor name-wise. Get actor class, right? Get actor class, get actor. That's what it was. That's what it was trying to do for me. I don't know what I just said yes to, but I said yes to it, and it's probably gonna bite me in the butt. Ooh. Alright, let's go ahead and revert some. Let's get actor. This is just a bug where sometimes debugging can cause a crash. I'm gonna check my phone really quick and use the restroom. I'll be right back, guys. I don't know if you guys can hear all the lawnmowers mowering, but they are. Oh. It's so funny, dude. People are just trying to get me. Alright, so it could be one of two things. Maybe these things aren't lined up like I want them to be. Which is already the pain in butt aspect of this like these things working together. I'd like them to work like 1 and 1. There's 2, there's 1. Okay. There's 3. Awesome. BP City Big Apartment Inst. BP City Inst. Big Hill 2000. Big Hill 2000. 3 Inst. And then So we do have the right classes matched. So let's go ahead and test this. See if we run into that same issue, which we don't, as I said. Let's go ahead and figure out the case where, so it's common. And how many do we have in common, guys? Do you remember that number? It's giving me 2 here. 1, 2. So we have 2 in common. That makes sense. It's going to return 1 or 2. Get actor class. So it's gone ahead and done that. We're going to get rid of it. We're going to do this again.
A layoff. When life calls, you reach out to your people.
Get actor
The ones
class.
who know you. Then you turn to those who can help you with your health coverage. People who see you for you. Beyond the labels, beyond
It's
the
interesting it does this
Get in
twice.
touch with us within 60 days and we'll help you find the right plan. Made for you, just the way you are. When life calls,
Why does that run
call us
twice?
next. Cover
Watch, we run it
California
once.
For the love of
If I
California.
click play, it'll... Of course, the one time I do it. Value type, none. Really? So it's returning none. Here. Hold up, guys. That was my wife. So we have this here. We need to figure out why it's returning null in some cases. But yeah, if it does that, it doesn't get anything. Okay. Now it's just gonna throw those errors. Anyways, let's restart this. Don't mind how many icons I have on the screen of games. I'm a gamer. Okay, I game. Just so you guys can kind of see this. It's gonna go through, it's gonna get 2, right? But for some strange reason it runs again. And I'm questioning as to why that occurs. That should realistically only run rocks. Now wouldn't that be interesting if this, like, getting this and then doing this was causing some type of thing. I'm gonna try something here. What if I were to stash this, promote to variable, test. I'm calling it test. Sorry. We check the validity, and then do this, and then run that into there. And then we try it again. I want to say, like, doing that is what caused it to happen, and it did. Isn't that interesting? I did not know that. So if I were to, essentially every time I run this line out, it's going to run this code. So if I run it once here and set this here, that's pretty interesting. That is pretty interesting. Believe it or not, guys. So we have to run it like this in the future. That's a noteworthy. It will run twice unless you do that. But regardless, back to our original test. That was just something pretty cool. Thank you, Lord Christ of Nazareth, for pointing that out and giving me the mind to diagnose that and figure that out. Praise the Lord, guys. People want to attest that to us, but I think all good things come from God. And I don't know, I consider that a good thing that I just figured that out pretty quickly. It was like an intuition I had, and I think that's cool. Don't mind him falling down in the background. Let's see, none. We return none. So what is it that's returning none? So we're gonna check out the roles here. The role is gotta be higher than so it goes to none first. It's like okay, so it's common. I'm waiting to see how we get none. And it's kind of hard because we can't get the roll, dude. Why is it like, oh, we can't do that? I have to actually print that out. But there's definitely something in here. Just give me the roll, dude. Don't be a stinker. -8. What? Out value roll is this. What the heck is that roll, dude? I'm gonna print this out. This is the only way forward. Float the roll equals roll. And we are gonna put that in there, and in case that doesn't work, log temp, warning, text. We're gonna do, was it F here? And say roll. Do a little reboot. Just remember, in a getter function, it's not good to have what I have here. I'm still thinking about this, and it's funny. Or I guess it is good to have it here, but since I ran it to here to check the branch and then plugged it in afterwards, it's like, does a multiple thing. So I should probably make sure the return value doesn't equal null pointer in there before returning, but it's going to return that anyways, since this returns a T subclass actor. Alright, let's check it out. Log temp. Now it wants to give me the roll. What is that? So we have 50%. 50% is gonna be something else. That's gonna be what? Not 50%. It's 50. So I think, oh, all my stuff matches this. It's because we're like missing, like this is 60 to 70%. It's almost like it's like, I don't know. I gotta really dissect this in my head because it's like, what's easier to roll? There's got to be, because we get a random range, and that range could be anything. I mean, I don't get the weight, drop weight, total weight, and then it's possibly item drop weight. Item loot table. Plus total weight plus equals item drop weight. Does anyone get this? They also recommend just using random range, right? So we get the random range between the total weight. I don't understand this. The total weight is going to be this plus the item drop weight. cumulative weight. If the roll is less than or equal to the cumulative weight of the item class. I might have to watch a video because I don't think my logic is completely correct here. Right now, I'm just literally rolling a number or getting a random number, and it's like could be 50, right? Then I check the rarity, but it looks like there's some weight involved, and I don't understand the weight aspect of this. In fact, I'm going to cheat a little and use AI to explain this a little bit better to me. Explain to me why they are involving the weight of the class and why they progressively add to the weight in order to what item to spawn. This is a weighted random loot drop system. Equal chance to drop. Some items are rarer, other are more common. Equals 50, awesomeness 5, 30. Drop 5% of the time, while the common ones drop much more often. They add up all the drop weight values in the table. This total represents the size of the pie, the entire probability space. This is the key moment. Instead of rolling a number from 0 to 100, they roll a number between 0 and the total weight. So the random roll value is like picking a random point somewhere along a line that is 85 units long. It's called the weighted or the roulette wheel. They walk through the list and keep a running total. First item, that cumulative weight, 0 plus 50 equals 50. If the random roll is 50, less than 50, pick health potion. The random rolls between 50 and 55, pick the sword. The random rolls between 55 and 85, pick gold. Okay, that makes a lot more sense. I think we should incorporate this weighted system into our line of thinking for the project. Let's go ahead. I mean, it works, but it doesn't work as well as I want. So we get the loot table, float. Rarity. So they get a total weight first. I'm just gonna literally. So we have all this, and then we can do something like we did here. Right. And we can say total weight plus equals row dot spawn chance. That's the weight, I believe, of it. That's going to give us a total weight here. Then we roll, or we already have our roll. And this is the kicker. This is the kicker, because in our instance, we're getting the rarity. We're rolling for a rarity. And we pass in the roll at this point. So we do all this, then we get a rarity. But in hindsight, we should be handling this somewhere else. So let's go ahead and get rid of this. Not that. In rarity, get rid of this roll because it's not needed anymore. We'll just get rid of the roll. And if we do that here, we also have to do that here. And now that we have that, right, we have our total weight. We can get this, and instead of 100, we would put total weight, I believe, here. Let me just double check that. Yes, that is it. And then after that, they get a float cumulative weight. Cumulative weight. I don't know how to spell, so I'm going to copy pasta. Copy pasta. Cumulative weights. And there's no music, and it's got me feeling weird. This is how I feel when I'm making video games. Make sure to like, follow, subscribe, guys. Yeah, make sure to like, follow, subscribe. I work with both C++ and Blueprints in Unreal Engine. Learn with me. Learn with me. Like, follow, subscribe. Do it now. Anyways, so they get the cumulative weight now. And I guess the row has a spawn chance. Right? Because items don't have a weight. The rarity has a weight in my system. I don't attach a weight specifically to an item. I attach it to a rarity. It's common, or it's this, or it's that. I feel like that's better. It makes more sense in my head to just be like, that's a common item. But with that being said, let's go ahead and figure this out. The float, the roll, we don't need that no more. We are going to say, though, that I don't know why I have none. This should always return something. The whole point of this, I guess, is to say none, there is no data table. Even though we have that case up here. I'll have to figure out what this case is for specifically, but we take the key cumulative. We say cumulative weight. And then we test this here. Uno más.
probably know Vistaprint for business cards. But did you know we print everything you need to brand your business? We print banners and signs that help you stand out, and must-have merch like tote bags, t-shirts, and hoodies. Right now, new customers can get 20% off with code NEW20, because if you need it, we print it at Vistaprint.com.
Sorry, guys. How long have we been streaming now? 2 hours. That's not bad. So, that's how they do it. Let's test it. I could be missing something though. Alright, let's test it. So the total weight is 111. So the cumulative weight now, I don't even know what the cumulative weight is. 70. What is the roll? I don't even know the roll. Oh, I guess it was something below. That makes me so mad. It's like, give me the roll. You stinkers. So what's the out value? Was it none? It was common. I'm gonna try doing this a couple times without needing... Oh, and there we go. Now everything's spawning. And we never really have an issue. Sweet! Cumulative weight works. Better than what I was doing. Okay, so that's it for the day, guys. Highlight note. Cumulative weight system for loot tables. Alright? It's actually pretty interesting, and it's very simple to incorporate as well. So you create a total weight of all the weights, and then you create a random range from that instead of like 0 to 100. And then as you're iterating through each object, you add a cumulative weight. You add on top of that, and you roll against that weight. So as you get further and further down the line, possibility for something rare to occur happens. Pretty nice, actually. Don't know if I worded that correctly. Let me know in the comment section. But yeah, if you haven't already, make sure to like, subscribe, and follow. I would greatly appreciate it. If you're interested in learning Unreal Engine, I work with Blueprints and C++. I have the same exact interest as you. So if you're interested in learning with me, please join me along this journey by following, and subscribe. And as you can see at the end results, after 2 hours, we now have a system that loads in, and these are all based off of rarities, which I have in some assets. So I have a rarity value that is linked here to this data table, and I can make this data table asset or data asset multiple times for multiple things. I can use it for levels, pickups, enemies, all sorts of things, guys, which is what I wanted, because that makes it a little dynamic. Some more dynamicness would involve manipulating values to enhance the spawn rate of them as you do things. Some additions I would like to make to this is grabbing multiple actors, so grabbing a stack in case somebody wants to spawn in multiple things. For instance, like let's say I have a chest, and the chest can spawn a diamond, it can spawn a coin, and it can spawn a skull, right? Diamond obviously would be a mystic level rarity item, but if let's say we rolled for a mystic rarity, it would return all the actors of that list, or essentially an actor from each one of those things. We can enhance it further to make it so it drops 3 things and then does that each time for 3 things. Who knows? We can do a lot of things, but point being, there's some other ideas I have for this system. Right now I feel like this works for what we need, so when I jump into pickups and other things like that, I can always iterate on it further. But yeah, guys, I'm gonna bounce for the day. Thank you for joining in. If you joined in, thank you for saying hello, hi. If you subscribe, shout out to you. Love you guys. We're gonna be trying to make some more content here since I have more time to myself, but obviously the times of streams are going to vary depending on my schedule. But we will be streaming on this channel, so keep your eyes peeled for that. Click the notification bell. Peace. God bless. And you know what? Let's end out on a prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you so much for bringing me here and giving me the opportunity to stream with my fellow brothers and sisters in Christ, as well as other people who might not be fellow brothers and sisters in Christ. And I just thank you for the opportunity to be here, to be alive, to learn how to program, to do what I need to fulfill the mission I believe you've given to me, God. Other than that, I'd like to ask that you bless the people in here, that you bless them with clairvoyancy and direction towards you, Heavenly Father, that you bring them closer to you, Heavenly Father, whether that be through fellowship, learning on their own, or whatever it may be. Lord, you're the one who knows all things. You know how to you know how to add to people and to remove from people, Heavenly Father. All those things are in your hand, but I ask that you bless these people, God, and that you just help them as you've helped me. And thank you so much for what your son did on the cross for me and all of us here, Heavenly Father. Thank you so much. In the name and blood of Christ of Nazareth, amen. All right, guys. Peace out. God bless.